If that bothers you, well, that's too bad. But if you got pride and you're proud you do, hey, we could use some more like me and you. Where the stars and stripes and the eagle fly.
What's up? Hey everybody, welcome back to Second Chance Recovery Vlog. I am on the road. As you can see earlier, I stopped by a dealership. What's up everybody? Represent Harley Davidson, Sportster in the house. Oh man, look at that. I'm just kidding. I'm glad. I'm really glad to be out on my bike today. It's Saturday afternoon. It's about 100 degrees here in Minnesota and I am just blasting down the highway. Some guy tried to catch up and ride with me, but I was just too quick for him, couldn't catch up. But hey, I'm fast. That's what I am. I get out and I go. And I am at Twin Cities Harley Davidson in Blaine, Minnesota. I'm just doing a little loop. If you guys haven't checked out the Harley Davidson app, I would highly recommend that. It's an app that you download, and they do riding challenges every month. You know, and I think like this month it's 550 miles plus 5 check-ins. And it progressively gets, harder and harder as you get on in the season. But 500 miles, 600 miles a month isn't nothing for me. And there's a bunch of dealerships too that I can check in by me. So like in April, I think it was 300 miles and 3 check-ins. May was 350 miles or 400 miles and 4 check-ins, and then so on and so forth. So you just keep on moving. And I don't. Oftentimes I'll just stop at these dealerships and I won't even go in. Just because of the fact that I don't want to be pressured, and I've already got patches and shirts and tees and hats and whatever else you can get at these dealerships. So I usually just stop, take a picture by the Harley Davidson sign, check in on my Harley Davidson app, get my points, and then I scoot on down the road. But listen, if you get the Harley Davidson app, you will collect points, and when you collect every check-in you do at a dealership, you get points, and every so many points you get money. So like right now, I think I have like 25 bucks. That you can spend at Harley, online, in the store, any place that is a participating dealership. They'll let you spend your bucks there. So I think I have like 2,000 some points, and that's just from this season alone. So just ride, check in. That's all you do and that's the coolest thing about it. So a lot of you guys know that I just got done having surgery this last week on Thursday. So I'm really happy to even be able to get out on my bike and to roll around. And this is why and where I live my active recovery is out on the road. And in these times that I spend on the road, I spend it thinking, meditating, praying, allowing myself a break from everyday mundane life. And when I do that, I go home with a little bit more insight. I go home with a little bit more understanding of how to live each day sober. Difficult? Sometimes, yes. But it does get easier, so don't give up. One day at a time. Don't quit right before the miracle happens. Okay? Don't go through life just drudging it. Go through life thinking about the next right thing to do so you can progress and so you can spiritually, mentally, and physically and emotionally grow towards the goal that you want. And that goal should be to live one day at a time, sober, help your friends, help your family, love yourself, love your friends, family, build trust. And live a life worth living, my friends. So get out there, do that, and I hope you guys are all safe and brave today. We'll see you on the road. Lefty out.
2 hours later.
Wow, what an afternoon. What a Saturday. I can't tell you how great it feels. I got about 180 miles in today. I just ripping around. I went over to Blaine, Twin Cities Harley Davidson. Then I went north to Cambridge, and I went all the way over, and then I took 47 down into Anoka through that, and then I hit Highway 10 back up through Elk River and headed up past St. Cloud, and then back down 55 through Annandale, Maple Lake, Buffalo, and now I'm in Buffalo, and I'm on my way home. I got about 20 more miles to go. I think I got about 180 miles, 160 miles today. I got home today from our lunch. We went and saw my brother's 28th Street Vintage Market. Him and Justin and Abby are locked down in that area. I love it. They've added such value to that neighborhood. Just by their little shop that they got there. It was really cool to go down there, and I forgot to take a picture. Can you believe that? I forgot to take a picture. So I'm gonna go back down there tomorrow before my daughter's soccer tournament. I'm gonna grab a picture. I'm gonna go down on my bike, and hopefully I'll see my buddy Dan down there. But we got home from the lunch, and we got back about 2:30, 3 o'clock, and I got in the house and I was like, you know what? I can either take a nap and start to baby my body a little bit, let it get some rest and not sleep tonight, or I can get out in the garden and just sweat because it was really hot, or I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get on my motorcycle, and that's what I did. And I got into the wind, and it was really nice. I rode with a guy for a little while who was just on the highway. Me and him were lane splitting, and we hooked up and we just rode for a while, and then I got up on my own, and I was trying to find a cool place to stop to take a cool video, but I ended up stopping at the Dairy Queen in Buffalo and getting a Royal Choco Brownie Extreme Blizzard. Oh, so good. That was the sweetness that I needed in my life today. And I want to remind you guys to create new hobbies and habits. The hobbies that you create in your new life in recovery are going to mean a lot more to you than the things that we used to do when we were drunk or high, because you're going to be present, you're going to remember, you're going to be more aware, and your situational awareness is going to expand because you're going to see things that you never would see if you were drunk or high. So living the sober life is such a way of life, and it's such a blessing, and I'm so grateful and thankful for that. And kids, there's the beach, Minnesota's the land of 10,000 lakes, so there's so many beaches, and so all the kids are at the Dairy Queen, and they got their floaties, and they got their towels, and their swimsuits, and I'm thinking, man, what a great life, what a great life in a great area, lots of lakes, lots of things to do, and I couldn't imagine being stuck at home all the time, just doing nothing all the time, watching TV or watching movies and stuff like that. I can't do it anymore. And in the future, I'm looking for, companionship in the future. I want to find somebody that wants to do these things with me, that wants to hop on the back of my motorcycle and go for a 200-mile ride, sneak off into the woods somewhere here and there, and and get a little loving, and just cool, just stuff like that. I mean, I just dream about that stuff, and I know that someday that'll probably happen, but today I'm really thankful for the support system that I do have. And of course, I don't mean anything bad by sneaking off into the woods. I didn't mean that kind of sounded bad, like we were going to go out and do something dirty, but just, go hiking, go rock hounding, go out to the beach, jump in the lake, go swimming, get on the bike, go for a trip, go camping. I mean, these sorts of things I really strive to do, and I do them on my own a lot, but I don't really have a lot of people to do it with. And so recovery has brought me a lot of joys, but it hasn't brought me a lot of companionship left yet, and I'm waiting for that too, because I want to be happy and I want to find happiness too. So I hope you guys all had a great Saturday. It's pretty nice here in Minnesota. It's a little hazy, but it's perfect. It allows for just enough cover so you don't just get fried out here. But today was one of those days where I'm going to remember for a long time, and I just want to thank you guys. It takes a lot of perseverance, dedication, and commitment, and consistency, and persistence, and I have to research things for videos that I make, and it takes a lot of time to have this channel. But I think honestly it's helped me more than anything, because having this channel, it allows me an outlet to come to you guys and to say all that's on my mind in the recovery sense. And I know recovery is really not that popular of a topic, but I think it's getting more popular as we go on. So I think as we build this channel, it's gonna blossom at some point. It's gonna really blow up, because I think as people grow out of their addictions, they find that sobriety is just the way to go. And we all are immature at times, and we go through our little times of using and drinking. And unfortunately, I drank from like 17 to 35. But once I got out of it and I stopped and I got a couple years clean and sober from alcohol, the fog lifts and you start to see things so different. You start to see things so clearly. And when you do that, you make friends, you see opportunities, you get opportunities that you wouldn't have otherwise. There's things that really light up your life, and that would have never happened had we been drunk. Because when I was drunk all the time, everything was dull, everything was, obnoxious, and everything was out of control, and everything was just seemingly funny. And I would fall down and I would get hurt, and I would scrape up my arm or scrape up my face, and I'd be bloody, and I thought that was funny. Like, I thought like that was a badge of honor to show that I was badass, because I could get all drunk and fall down and get just, I don't know, I had role models that were the wrong people in my life, and I looked up to a lot of people in my life that were drinkers. And once I started losing the zeal or the zest to want to drink myself, my life changed. And you know how it changed? is one day I realized that I was sick and tired of being sick and tired, and I didn't want to keep doing the same thing that kept getting me the same result, because we talk about insanity in the program, and that's doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. Like, you're going to keep stubbing your toe and it's going to keep hurting. Like, there's never going to be a time when you stub your toe and it doesn't hurt. So, like, to go through life and to stub your toe all the time and think that one of these times it's not going to hurt, that's insane. Like, no matter what you do, if you stub your toe, it's going to hurt. And that's just like a lame example, but like drinking, you're always going to end up drunk. You're always going to end up regretting it. You're always going to waste your money, and you're always going to wake up the next day in some sort of regret, guilt, or shame, being like, wow, why did I do that? But then somehow we pick up the drink or the bottle or the drug, and we do it again the next day, and then we do it again the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and we somehow think that somehow it's going to be different each time. But really what it takes is a tremendous amount of strength, willpower, and obedience or surrender, right? You have to surrender to the fact that you have a problem. The very first step in AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, is admitting that you have a problem, right? Admitting that you're powerless over alcohol and that your life had become unmanageable. That's the very first step. And then you come to believe, and then you apply the belief, and then you start to see action with amends, and you start to take inventory, and there's action steps, and then there's maintenance steps, and then by the time you get to the 12th step, you're looking at maintaining that sobriety and that recovery over the steps that you made from the very first one. Because as we take our first step in recovery, we're going to look at the second and then the third in succession, right? And so we're going to do it one after the other, and pretty soon it's just going to roll into a lifestyle. It's going to roll into a way of life. And you're going to be, a different person by the end of it, right? Because you're consciously seeking, right, to get closer to a power greater than you. And once you get contact with that power greater than you, it's not going to be like you're going to have a spiritual epiphany, okay? And it's not like you're going to have a spiritual epiphany every day, but you're going to get spiritual growth every day, experiencing the steps if you work them. And that conscious contact that you have, it's there, and you have to rely on it. It's called faith. And it's called having faith in something greater than you, because we alcoholics, addicts, Jesse, Lefty, I got myself where I was so long ago, and I got myself to where I am today by my own choices, but I can also make the choices to do right and to do the next right thing, and to actually invest in myself and invest in the program and invest in steps, formulas, principles, ways, and means of staying sober, right? Because it's not always easy. Like, we just went through something this last weekend where I walked into a gas station in Wisconsin and saw a whole wall of liquor, and was like, ooh, whoa, they have liquor in the gas stations in Arizona, in Wisconsin. And I'm that trigger went through my mind, and it was like Dale Earnhardt in an NASCAR going through my mind, like, alcohol. And then I had to back that up with, no, dude, you're way too good for that. Like, you don't want to lose what you got. You have a sober streak going. You don't want to act like that. You don't want to drink. You don't want to do that. You'll regret it. There's shame and guilt with that. And so I had to really wrangle my feelings, because my emotions were already set high because I seen drugs getting used, and I'm usually not around that type of stuff. And so when I saw that happen, I was like, whoa, it took me back a little bit. So these are prime examples of when I have to rely on the steps. And I did. I relied on my conscious contact with the power greater than me, because I asked God to give me the strength to make it through the aisle, to get what I needed to the water, get a water bottle, and then get back to the campsite without needing to feel the use to buy alcohol or to use drugs, or so on and so forth. So when I got back to the campsite, I knew that my faith had carried me through because I asked for it, right? You ask, he will deliver, that sort of thing. So don't be fooled, and don't allow yourself to be God in your life, because there's so much more than just us and our decisions that we make. And being present and listening, being quiet, and allowing answers to come to you instead of trying to drum them up ourselves, right? Take the time to sit in a quiet place and to be receptive, be able to receive, be open, right? Be obedient, surrender, allow. I love those words, all those words. But allow yourself to be open and be willing and open-minded, because you know what? you never know what something's going to come your way, and you never know when you're going to run into something or somebody that might need to lean on the understanding that you have in recovery. Because believe it or not, just if you only have a month, 2 months, 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, there's other people with less time that you have that might need to lean into you and your understanding of what it means to be sober. And you know what? You're giving people stepping stones to walk on to stay safe in their own swamp, okay, in their own muck and mire, right? So sometimes we'll get stuck in the muck and the mire and we'll spin our wheels and we'll get stuck. Sometimes it's okay to be stuck. We have to sit there for a minute and think about how to get out of it, right? Lean into your understanding, lean onto your support system, lean into the steps, the formulas, the principles, pray to God, be humble, and allow that to come to you. That's my message. That's what I'm thinking about on this ride today. And I'm thinking that the more healthy, hobbies and habits that we have that allow us to, practice these things and in sobriety, it's going to ultimately help other people, because other people are going to see what you're doing, and other people are going to realize that you have something that they want, right? And that's why we go to meetings, and share our testimony or our ups or downs, everything, right? All ultimately going to help other people in their sobriety and in their recovery. So we have to go through the learning growth, the learning pains and the growing pains of life. But as long as you don't pick up that next drink or that next drug, you're going to make it, my friend. So don't give up. Allow these messages to come straight from my heart to yours, and allow yourself to make a mistake every now and again. Don't be too hard on yourself. I've made the mistake of being way hard on myself for way too long. Now I'm much more easygoing, and it brings about a peace that comes into your life by way of understanding, wisdom, slips, trips, God forbid a relapse. But you know what? Sometimes that's what people need. They need to go back to the old life just to recognize and to remain strong in their own mind, to believe that they don't need that. And luckily, in 2-3 weeks, I'll celebrate 15 years clean from drugs. And that's a huge milestone for me, because when I was using drugs, I was using them to the fullest every day. Needles, pipes, you name it, I did it to the max. I never thought that I would ever make it anywhere remotely near 15 years sober. But when my ex-wife was pregnant with my son, and she told me she was pregnant, he's 14 now, I told myself that I wouldn't do to my son what my dad did to me, which was end up being a drunk, end up being a drug addict, and end up being absent from my kid's life. And so when she told me she was pregnant, I made a conscious decision to never go back to doing drugs again. And of course I had some accountability because I was on probation for quite a while, but that's what I needed, right? The drug tests, the probation check-ins, all that. And they let me off probation because I was a model client, I was a model probation client, because I did what I was supposed to do. I gave clean UAs, I worked a program, and I just did what I was supposed to do, and that's what brought me to almost 15 years clean. I'm thankful. I don't count tomorrow, I only count today, because that's where I am, and thank God I didn't have to use drugs or drink today, and I'm very happy and grateful that you guys all are here to listen to these messages. We'll do a weekly recovery video tomorrow. Last week's was on relapse prevention and environmental and situational awareness. I think tomorrow we're going to have a little bit of fun with it, okay? We're not going to be so serious. We're going to try to give a little bit more of a hopeful message, and maybe I can throw some stuff your way that you might need in your daily recovery life, and something that you might be able to use or share with your friends that might help somebody else stay sober for even 24 hours, because that's all we're looking for. We all want just one day sober, and then 2, and then 3, but we only got to worry about 24 hours at a time. So that's the beauty of recovery, one day at a time. So if you can stay sober today, you stay sober tomorrow, but let tomorrow worry about itself. Yesterday's history, tomorrow's a mystery. We don't know what's coming down the pike. You got to worry about today. I love you guys. I'm going to get myself home, eat some dinner, and work on tomorrow's message. So I love you all, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Lefty out. Onward